So now, in this video, we're going to look at the diode OR gate. So, I know there's integrated circuits in the past that used the logic gate OR gates. They actually use diodes within the integrated circuit, I'm pretty sure, long ago, but they've improved them since then. So, that's stuff you can learn about if you really want to learn about it. But nowadays, I think you just kind of use the diode OR gate if you want to use a couple separate power supplies. So, we're not doing that right now. Right now, we just have this power supply right here, and both of my makeshift toggle switches. This is what a toggle switch does. It has a common point. It either connects to one terminal, or if you flip the switch, it connects to the other one. So there we go. We got a connection there. It's going through a diode to turn that LED on, because this one just makes a direct connection to the negative supply right there. That would be a short circuit without the diodes. That's why we need the diodes in this particular case. But yeah, I can... if I want, I'll put that back to the negative supply first, and then this one to the positive supply, and the LED lights up through that one right now. Or we can do both of them. So when it comes to OR gates, it's one or the other, or as many as go high, because there may be more than two. But in this case, we got them all high. There's only two though. And so as long as at least one is high, then the output is high. When I say high, I mean the positive supply right there. That's because it goes to ground. So we don't even need to connect it to ground, technically. We just need to go to the positive supply. But, you know, if you have logic does go either as close to the positive supply as possible or as close to the negative supply as possible. So you may still see diodes in situations where you want to isolate the inputs from each other, but you both want them to be able to either give a signal or provide power to a load. Something like that. Hopefully that makes sense. So, as I said before, this is useful if you have more than one power supply. So I'm going to pluck that jumper right there. We're going to introduce another power supply. Pretty simple. It's a power bank right there, 5-volt power bank. And this one does pretty good job. We need to share ground when we use two different power supplies. So this needs to be at ground right there. And so now, I'm not going to put this to ground. That would be a short circuit through the power supply. So we're doing something different right here. We can come up to where the diode is right there. And we got a high output. The LED lit up right there. Now, what I'm going to do is I think this will get the power bank to shut off, because if it's a low enough current, then the power bank doesn't really see a load anymore. Some power banks won't even like power a load like this until you press the power button. This particular one seems to do a little bit better. But I'm going to go to the positive supply right there, and there you can see it's not providing power. All the power is coming through the power bank right there until I remove the power bank. Now the power supply kicks in. So there's no guarantee that one or the other is going to provide power. So now I plugged power bank back in to be able to power the LED, and we do not see it powering the LED. I'll shift this over so we can see a little bit better. So yeah, the power bank is not providing any power anymore. This one is right now. One thing I can do is lower the voltage here, and the power bank should kick in, but it did not, because it's just automatically shut off right there. Let's see if I remove this, connect this to ground. Okay, now the LED is on. So sometimes the LED may look off, but just kind of have like a real small flash. This one doesn't detect that there's enough load to provide power, but we're not getting this. I did actually get that earlier when I was filming, but unfortunately I'm not getting it now. So if you see the LED is off, but every like a second or so you see just like a real faint like glow, that means this power supply doesn't think it's asking for power yet. You can press the power button and then it will light the LED, as you see there. But in any case, this is what we need the diodes for. Even though this is 5 volts, probably 5.1 volt, and this was 5 volts, still, whichever one has the higher voltage will feed power into the other one, and that can cause problems. So now we have a low enough voltage where the power bank is providing power right there. The power bank would also try to push current into the power supply right there if it weren't for the diode. So they're all sharing ground. That's perfectly fine. In fact, you have to. you need a return path for the positive supply. But yeah, so there, the power bank, as I said, just went into sleep mode. We waited a little too long. So there you can see, it's a lot quicker than a second. Oops, that was my finger blocking that. It's sending little pulses, and but not enough current is flowing to get it to kick in, to tell it that it has a load, until I press the power button right there. Now it turns on. So that's because I removed the power supply from powering it until we got that. So that may be one reason why you might want a backup power supply. So if we wait long enough, it'll go back to that state. Instead, what I can do is just use this power bank. If I get a high enough voltage, actually I got to go give a high input. There we go. Now I got a high enough voltage, the power supply kicked in right there. It's providing, doesn't look like it's providing all the current yet. There we go, 5.3. Now it's providing all the current. And if I lower it, there you can see the current staying right there. So they were sharing current. This one was providing most of it, but they were sharing current for a bit. And now I can go down. You can see that we have this power supply providing power. So the power bank turned off. And I do this now. It sensed it needed to provide power, and it will provide power, I think, for like a minute. And then I think it'll kind of go into that sleep mode where it kind of gives pulses to test out whether it should provide power. And once it goes into sleep mode, this should kick in and then provide the power right there. And the exact amount of current, again, will vary based on the actual voltage that we are giving it. So, in any case, hopefully that wasn't too complex. Hopefully that was understandable. But this is what I do if I want to have a power supply powering a load. And if they're the exact same voltage, hopefully they're splitting up the current. If I got two separate power supplies, again, all grounds are connected together. That's always the case. But if you got different power supplies, you leave their positive supply independent. And the way that you do that when they're both attached to the circuit right there is with diodes. That's how you isolate it. So when this side's more positive than that side right there, that diode can conduct. When that side's more positive than that side, that diode can conduct from the positive supply. But when this is more negative or equal to that side there, this is anode, that's cathode. When this is more negative or equal to the cathode, then no current will flow. So that keeps you from doing a short back to ground, because all the grounds are connected, or trying to charge the other power supply, which it may not like. So battery may be okay. You gotta limit the current. Maybe you could have like a low value resistor or something. If you got like a couple batteries, one of them charging, the other one a little bit, not so bad. But like in this case, we have a dedicated power supply right there. This power bank has a battery in it, but it's a lower voltage battery. It steps up that voltage to 5 volts, and no matter what the battery voltage is, as long as it's not too discharged, it steps up the voltage to 5 volts. So we don't want to be trying to push current backwards through that circuitry. It probably would damage something. So that's why we would use diodes. And when it comes to power like this, multiple power sources and stuff, it's not super simple. It's fairly simple once you understand it. It's not like super complex. It doesn't take like a long time to learn it, but there are a lot of considerations you have to take into account when you got multiple power supplies and stuff, when you're putting them in parallel and things like that, and in series. There's things you have to take into account. Here we're potentially putting 2 different power sources in parallel, but they're not actually in parallel other than what the load considers with these diodes right there. They're isolated from each other, but we can parallel them for the load. As long as they have the exact same voltage, then they will split up the current probably about equally. Not guaranteed, but if one has a slightly higher voltage or slightly lower voltage, as I showed by adjusting the power supply right there, then the one with the higher voltage will provide all the current. The lower voltage will just be on standby until the higher one drops its voltage for whatever reason. Cuts out or you switch it off or whatever. So, any case. Again, I made this video pretty long, but I intended it for absolute beginners. So, hopefully you enjoyed. If you want the step-by-step build, I was going to end it there. If this was kind of hard to see, you're struggling to see how everything was connected, I can just do a quick step-by-step build here. So I'll get all this stuff out of the way, and we'll start with the LED right there. It connects to ground, so we'll put it there. I'll put it at an angle. Longer lead, the anode up high. Shorter lead, the cathode, because that's the most negative part of the board here. And that's got to be more negative for current to flow through it. It's a diode just like the rectifier diodes right there. Current only flows through one way. If you raise the voltage enough to force current in the opposite direction, it will burn out. So don't do that on purpose. And not sure exactly where I should set this, but yeah, there's our one diode. I just put it in backwards. This one you can see the gray band right there. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, when there's no reflection. Not sure exactly where the loop is, but yeah, you should be able to see that gray band. So that's a cathode. Again, it has to head towards more negative, and we're going to attach the jumper later, and there we go. So I'll leave a little space for the jumper to go to the supply. We're not putting the diode directly to one supply or the other, and then the other diode right here, same thing, and that's what I did. I stuck them in different spots. That's why that one was narrower. So yeah, I'll stretch this one out. And again, the short lead, or not the short lead, the gray band right there. Should be able to see that. Goes up to that one right there. And I got to come down a ways to the anode, the side without the gray band. It's not connected to anything right there. So if we wanted to, we could connect those, but I'll do the resistor first so we have a little less obscuring our vision right there. So I'm going to go to where the LED is right there, and there you go, you can see that a lot better, to the long lead, the anode, and then I'm going to go to the cathode of both diodes right there. So yeah, they'll let current go positive that way, but not that way, and then positive that way through the load, but not that way right there. And so yeah, we got ground on both sides right now, and when I did my test circuit, I accidentally put the red jumper like up one spot, and so when I went to the positive supply, I didn't even notice until I was filming. No current flowed. So good to test out that you actually connected to the first row before you consider your circuit completely built. And there we go. As long as one or the other is connected to the positive supply, a high input, we have the LED on in this particular case right there. If all of them are high, in this case only both of them, there's only two of them, again, output will be high. All of the inputs have to be low for the output to be high. So again, very long video, but meant for absolute beginners. And so it's a lot of concepts, not complex or anything. They take a little time to absorb. So if you're an absolute beginner, this should be more helpful. If you've been doing electronics quite a bit, to be honest, you should really be able to just look at this and understand what it's telling you. Pretty much everything I explained right there. It's if you've got some experience, you should be able to just look at schematics and know how they work. You shouldn't be looking at step-by-step videos. So that's why I make these videos longer. In any case, that's it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out one of the other videos I posted on the screen, and check out the links down below. They all help out a lot. I'll see you in the next video.